missing someone. Love with all your heart. Missing someone. Love with heart.
So prior to 3 months ago, I had done just years of covering my gray, and I used semi-permanent.
At home, like yourself?
At home, yeah. I did that for a long time. And then 3 months ago, I decided I wanted to stop covering my gray. So then I went to a colorist to ask to get like a gray blending kind of thing. And then they obviously lightened and toned. And then it looks like they actually, so I went to someone that I wasn't able to communicate fully with. But I didn't realize that they actually darkened my roots, which I didn't want. So I have like, I look like my calico cat, basically. I have like 3 colors going on. So I don't want to cover my roots. The whole goal is for me to just like, you know, be gray.
Yeah.
And so whatever you can achieve so that as it grows out, it just looks like natural and good. And it looks just, the color is just wrong. I want it to sort of match. It looks like it's more cool tone. This looks very warm to me at the end. So in terms of color, that's what I want.
Do you have inspiration pictures?
Oh yeah. So I thought this looked amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that looks like gray would grow in really nicely. You know, and I've never been gray, so I have no idea what my gray distribution is. But I've been told it's relatively
pretty even.
Even,
like
yeah. I mean, it seems to have some areas of concentration, but anyway. So something like this would be great. I also want it cut a little bit, maybe about to here-ish.
Like shoulder length?
Yeah, about
shoulder.
Something like this.
Okay, right at the shoulder.
Yeah, and with some layering.
So this kind of takes a while for the ends to get that solid and light like that.
That's okay.
And then the other thing is this is a little bit more violet based. In person it looks like the slightest hue of purple.
Yeah, you know, I think actually that might be okay for me. I've never done that sort of color. It
washes out so fast, because if I were to just do silver on you, it's gone in a wash. It's yellow in a wash.
Okay.
Yeah, so I always do something a little bit more pigmented, more gray, more violet, and then that way you can use like purple shampoo to maintain that color before it gets yellow.
Yeah. That sounds good to me, actually.
And then the other thing is I will try my best to get you as light as possible and even, but you have a lot of dimension. You have some old highlights that I have to be careful with. So you're still going to see warmth, like some of these in pieces in between.
Sure.
It's like really impossible for me to get everything because it looks super woven together. So I'll do my best to kind of get it even, but it might take a while before we get there. Because the hairdresser before did a placement, I don't know what placement they did. So it'll be hard for me to pick up exactly all of their pieces.
Right.
And it just takes time to get there because it looks really woven together. It doesn't look like obvious to where the dark and the light is.
Woven together meaning like it's, what is that?
Like,
can you just describe more?
Like when I highlight, I kind of do it in slices. And so I can see what's dark, what's light, and pick up what's dark and what's light.
I see.
You have pieces that are like, it's like woven. I'd have to like pick every single hair. That's what it looks like.
I see.
It's not obvious to where your placement is.
It may not have, maybe they just kind of did a big wash.
Yeah, or they maybe like picked up a piece and like randomly just baby lighted it.
I see.
And when you do that, it's really hard to like touch it up, pick it up, because you're gonna have pieces that, especially when it's like that woven together, like little like hairs.
Yeah.
I always try to do a thicker weave or like a little bit bigger so I can see it and see what needs to be highlighted next time.
I see.
Because this one, it's like almost impossible to like pick out every dark hair in each section of the head. But yeah, because I can just tell just by picking that up that it might be a little difficult. And then the other thing is, do you want the front to be lighter, or I would say do the same, maybe just like a tad lighter if anything, but nothing crazy like a money piece.
Yeah, no, I don't need a money piece. I'm not.
Okay.
I've never had that. It doesn't seem natural to me. I think it's mostly just to make it look as natural as possible as it grows
it's
out.
not going to be perfect today, but I can guarantee that we'll get you ashier today.
Okay.
Less warm and a little bit lighter and more blended at the top to where it doesn't look like a line like this was.
Yeah.
Because I can see the difference.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I was a little bit taken aback because if she had not covered her, then we would have had it
highlighted it.
Yeah, you know, it would have actually been all the way up to here. I mean, I just feel like it would have, I would have been further along in the journey.
Yeah.
But it's whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, and the other thing is it looks like she did permanent color. So
yeah, she told me it was gonna wash out.
Yeah. So when I highlight you too, where that dark band is, it's gonna lighten warmer than the rest. So that's why I just have to see what it lightens to, what it does, and we'll just tone you to ash it out as much as possible. But it might not look like that picture today because you have your virgin, that dark band, and then you have these woven highlights that are like baby finely close together for me to pick out today. And then on top of that, lighten the ends.
Okay, so do what you can.
Yeah, so we'll trim your hair and do all that.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So this week I have a brand new client who is wanting to do a gray blending. And so her situation, as you can tell through a consultation, is going to be a little bit tricky. She has a lot of warmth in those mids and ends of those highlights. On top of that, she has now some permanent color and then her virgin regrowth, and then also the more solid ends. So we're pretty much working with, like, I would say 4 different areas that we are technically correcting in this whole correction. And you know, sometimes these type of corrections, when there are so many things that you are targeting, can get overwhelming. And that is one of the main reasons why I love my signature placement, is because it just makes things simple to where I can follow this simple sectioning pattern and then address all of those issues as I go. I don't have to overthink about where to start because I'm gonna start always in the back on the nape, and then as we go I always will go from dark to light, meaning I will lighten the darkest areas of the hair first and gradually work my way to the lighter areas. So if you are new here, my signature placement, I always start in the back. I always normally do a detail hairline, and that is around the nape hairline, and I always do a weave. When I'm doing a full correction like this and starting a new client from fresh and I've never done their hair before, I will go and utilize slices, because slices, you get the most amount of impact with each foil that you put in. So I am taking the back in just one section. I call this the mohawk section, and I take my mohawk section, I begin it all the way from the back. After I do those nape foils, I will go in and just begin my mohawk section and continue this pattern all the way until I get to the top and the front hairline. And I just find that this saves me so much time. I don't split the back into 2 different sections because it just saves me a lot of time, and it just makes it a really simple way to really get through that back section, and that way I can really focus on the front afterwards. So I turn her around for her front. We don't want the front to be too much lighter, so I am baby lighting and weaving. We want something that's going to grow out really soft, yet break up a lot of that permanent color that's in her hair. So for the lightener that I'm using, I am using the Danger Jones powder lightener, and I did mix up a bowl of 5 volume and 20 volume in the beginning, and then for the rest of the head, like right now, I'm just using strictly 20 volume, and I will continue using 20 volume for the entire rest of the service. So as I'm going in, after I do those front few detail hairline foils where normally the money piece would be, after that I'm going to connect the rest of the mohawk to the front utilizing slices again. And these top slices that are right on the crown of her head and on the top veil of where she parts her hair, I am spacing them a little bit closer together to kind of give it a lighter effect. So now that I'm on the side, I'm connecting the side money piece with, again, some weaves. So I did one weave around that hairline, and now I am adding an additional just weave to kind of break it up. I'm not doing any slices around the hairline because we don't want the front to be lighter, but we want it to be nice and blended and just kind of break up all that dark color that she has. So now I'm going to connect the front and that back center mohawk section with this side section. So the hair is really split up into 3 major sections apart or aside from the hairline. So above the ear, I'm also going to weave that. I just want some softness. I'm not going to slice it, but everything above that, I'm going to continue my slicing pattern. And I am spacing them out, I would say like probably a 1/4 inch apart. And even though I did say her hair does have a lot of pieces that are a little bit woven, I'm trying to not overlap onto any previous blonde, and I'm trying to really just feather on areas that are more darker as I go through her whole head. And then if I find that there are areas that need to be lightened a little bit more or has a little bit of banding, I will be going through later on to relighten them. But that will be after the foils are all done processing, because again, I want to address the darkest areas first and then start lightening the mid and the ends later because they are technically lighter. And I do it this way just for time, and it just makes it a lot simpler and just makes the whole process just a little bit quicker and a little more efficient. So while I was foiling, my assistant was separating the hair so that I could do her tip outs. So I'm over directing her side tip outs towards the front, and I'm splitting these sections up so that I have some good saturation. And for these areas, I am just going to be doing an open air tip out. This requires no teasing because she has previous highlights. So all I'm doing is applying lightener onto her previous highlights to kind of brighten them up, because they're technically already lightened and already blended, but they just need a little bit extra lift because they were pretty warm. I would say her highlights were lifted to like a level 8 and 9 in some areas, and we really want to try and just bump it up to at least a level 9 and 10. So this next part that I'm working on is going to be extremely important in the sense that I'm going to keep all of the hair separated, because as it's ready, what we are doing is we are applying extra lightener on those mids and ends that need it. And this is where I said her hair would be tricky, because a lot of her foils were woven. So it's woven, and also it had that permanent color, so there is a lot of warmth that is exposed. So as I'm going in, I am keeping them separated and just reapplying onto those ends with just 20 volume, and then letting it process for a little bit longer, because since this is a correction and the ultimate goal is pretty much to have the ends a little bit lighter, I want to brighten them up and just get everything a little bit more even. So once I felt like her hair was pretty even after adding that lightener on the ends, I'm going in with some toner. So we're doing some shadow rooting. For her shadow root, I am using the Danger Jones gloss toners. We mixed up 5-1 with some clear to make a 6-1, which is a level 6 ash. And then I'm going in with the rapid toners that I love to use on all my clients, and that is a mixture of some violet and silver. And the way that I apply this is we do it on the mids, and then just kind of drag it down towards the ends and kind of just let it tone and add more into areas where I feel like there is a bit more warmth. And I feel like this does a really good job at cutting a lot of the warmth out and making it really ashy, but not darkening the level. And then once this was done applying, I probably let this sit for an extra 5 to 7 minutes.
If only I could look like this every day. I'm just gonna go home and run errands. Like, oh my goodness.
I feel like you look so much younger too. Like it looks.
Yeah,
so
right?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. You've done an amazing job.
Yeah, I love the blend, and like I can already tell like your roots are gonna grow in really soft.
Hey, you know what you're doing.
Yay!
I found the right person.
Alrighty guys, so here is the finished look. We absolutely loved it, and I mean, it's not completely perfect, but I would say after first session and considering all of her color history and all the different zones that we were working with, I feel like it looks a lot more even, and the whole goal was pretty much to just blend her root and make her feel ashier, and I feel like we definitely achieved that during this session. So the next time when she comes in, if her hair feels pretty good, we can try to lighten it up a bit. If it doesn't, then we can just keep maintaining the same color. But at least now we're on the right track, and she is on her way to going towards something that is going to grow out softer and just be low maintenance for her. Alrighty guys, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in, and as always, I will talk to you guys next week.
Bye.